Okay, imagine this. You're standing on a busy city street. You've got horns blaring, a kaleidoscope of traffic lights, the smell of street food, the feeling of the pavement vibrating under your feet. It's a lot. So how does your brain take all of that chaos and turn it into something that makes sense? Well, the answer is in this incredible two-part process, sensation and perception. And today, we're going to break down exactly how you experience the world.
So first up, we've got sensation. The best way to think about this is raw data collection. It's a totally passive, automatic thing your body does. Your eyes, your ears, your nose, all your sense organs are just constantly gathering physical energy from the world around you. We're talking light waves, sound waves, chemical molecules. It's all just raw, unprocessed information pouring into your system.
But, raw data by itself isn't all that helpful. And that's where perception comes in. This is the really cool part. Perception is the active, amazing thing your brain does next. It grabs all that sensory data, starts organizing it, and then interprets it to create the rich, meaningful world you actually live in. It's what turns those light waves into your best friend's face or turns simple air vibrations into your favorite song.
Seeing it side by side like this makes it super clear, right? Sensation is just the passive detection of stuff, like light hitting the back of your eye. But perception, that's the active interpretation, recognizing that specific pattern of light as a face you know and love. And here's the most important part. You don't actually experience the raw data of sensation. Not at all. What you experience is the final, edited masterpiece that your perception creates.
So here's our game plan. We're going to really nail down the difference between sensing and perceiving. Then we'll get into how scientists can even measure your senses. After that, we're taking a deep dive into the eye and the ear. And we'll wrap up with a quick look at our other incredible senses.
All right, let's start with sensing versus perceiving. As we've kind of seen, every single moment of your life is just a seamless, beautiful dance between these two sides of your experience. But you might be thinking, this all sounds pretty subjective, doesn't it? I mean, how on earth can a scientist measure something as personal as a sensation? Well, that's the big question for a field of study called psychophysics. The name kind of gives it away. Psycho for the mind and physics for the physical world. It's the science of connecting what's actually out there to what we experience in our heads.
One of the first things they look at is something called the absolute threshold. This is basically the bare minimum amount of stimulation you need to detect something about half the time. And our senses are, well, they're ridiculously sensitive. Your threshold for taste, it's about 1 teaspoon of sugar in 2 whole gallons of water. And for smell, get this, just 1 drop of perfume in a 3-room apartment is enough. But just detecting something isn't only about how sensitive you are. What you expect and what motivates you really matter too. This is all explained by signal detection theory. So look at this matrix. A stimulus, like a faint sound, is either there or it's not. And you can either say, yes, I hear it, or no, I don't. That gives us 4 possibilities. If the sound is there and you hear it, that's a hit. If it's there and you don't, that's a miss. If there's no sound and you correctly say there's nothing, that's a correct rejection. But if you think you hear something that isn't there, that's a false alarm. Think about a soldier on guard duty. A false alarm is way better than a miss, right? So they're biased to say yes. It just goes to show, perception isn't passive, it's an active decision.
Okay, let's move on and see how this all plays out in the real world. We're going to start with our first major sense and take a little journey through the eye to understand the incredible process of turning light into sight.
And here it is, the vehicle for our journey, the human eye. You can see all the key parts here, the cornea, the pupil, the lens, and the retina in the back. You can think of it like a biological camera, but honestly, it's way more complex and powerful than any camera we've ever managed to build.
So let's follow a beam of light. First, it enters the cornea, which starts to bend it. Then it goes through the pupil, which gets bigger or smaller thanks to the iris. The lens then does the fine-tuning, focusing that light perfectly onto the retina at the very back of the eye. Now, this next step is where the magic happens. It's a process called transduction. Tiny photoreceptor cells on the retina actually convert that light energy into electrical signals, which is the only language the brain speaks. And from there, those signals are zipped off to the brain through the optic nerve. Now, the retina has these 2 different types of photoreceptor cells, and they have totally different jobs. You have a massive number of rods, about 120 million in each eye. They're the specialists for dim light. They detect black, white, and gray, and they handle all your peripheral vision. Then you have the cones. There are fewer of them, but there are high-definition color specialists. They work best in bright light, and they're all packed into the center of the retina, giving us that sharp, detailed color vision we rely on. So how do a few cones create millions of colors? Well, there are two theories that explain different parts of the process. First, you've got the trichromatic theory. It says we have three types of cones: red, green, and blue. Just like mixing paint, our brain combines the signals from these three to create every color we see. But that doesn't explain after images. You know, when you stare at a green square and then look at a white wall, you see a red one? That's where the opponent process theory comes in. It suggests that a little further down the processing line, cells are wired in opposing pairs, like red-green or blue-yellow. When you stare at green, you tire out the green part of the team. So when you look away, the red part rebounds, and you see a red after image. Pretty cool, huh?
All right, let's switch gears from light to sound. Hearing is basically the art of detecting vibrations. Seriously, every sound you hear, from a tiny whisper to a huge thunderclap, is just air molecules bumping into each other, creating waves that travel to your ear.
And this is the incredible instrument designed to catch those waves. The ear is neatly divided into three sections. You have the outer ear, which basically acts like a funnel for the sound, then the middle ear, which amplifies it, and finally the inner ear, which translates it into a language the brain can actually use.
So let's follow a sound wave on its journey. The outer part of your ear, the pinna, catches the wave and funnels it down the auditory canal until it hits the eardrum, which makes it vibrate. Then, these vibrations get amplified by three of the tiniest bones in your body: the hammer, anvil, and stirrup. This now much stronger vibration reaches the snail-shaped fluid-filled cochlea. And here we get another moment of transduction magic. The vibration makes waves in the fluid, which then bends thousands of tiny little hair cells. That bending triggers a nerve impulse that travels along the auditory nerve straight to the brain. It is an absolutely incredible chain reaction.
And if you're wondering just how sensitive those tiny hair cells are, this fact is just going to blow your mind. They can detect a movement as small as the width of a single atom. That's the level of precision happening inside your head every time you hear anything. It is truly remarkable.
Okay, let's do a quick tour of our other vital senses. Vision and hearing get most of the spotlight, but our chemical and physical senses are working around the clock, constantly shaping our experience of the world.
First up, taste. It's a chemical sense. Your tongue is covered in thousands of taste buds that can detect 6 main sensations: sweet, salty, sour, bitter, spicy, and that savory flavor we call umami. And here's a fun fact. Your taste buds take a lot of wear and tear, so they get completely replaced every 5 days or so.
Next up is smell, our other chemical sense. Every time you breathe in, airborne molecules land on millions of receptor cells inside your nose. Using about 1,000 different types of these receptors in a kind of complex lock-and-key system, your brain can distinguish between an estimated 1,000 different odors.
And finally, let's talk about touch. Your skin gives you all this crucial information about pressure, temperature, and pain. But tied into that system is a sense you probably don't even think about, called proprioception. This is your ability to know where your body parts are without even looking. It's how you can touch your nose with your eyes closed. It's like a secret superpower that's essential for every single movement you make.
And this brings us right back to our main point for today. As the source material says so well, we don't experience the raw sensation. We experience the outcome of perception, the total package that the brain puts together. All the input from our eyes, our ears, our nose, it's all just data. What we actually experience is the rich, coherent story our brain builds from all of it.
So if there's one thing to take away from all this, it's this. Sensation provides the raw materials, but it's perception that breathes life and meaning into everything. It's the difference between just detecting pressure changes in the air and being moved to tears by a symphony.
So I'm going to leave you with this final thought. If your brain is actively building your reality based on the sensory information it decides to interpret, it really makes you wonder, doesn't it? What else is out there? How much of the physical world are we not seeing or hearing or feeling just because our brain doesn't have the right tools or maybe even the need to perceive it?